everybody? It's Neon Velocity, and today's video is going to show you gameplay footage of me beating the map or escape challenge, the Hive, on Master and Escape. Now this is extremely difficult, and I highly recommend you to make sure that you have 3 players playing this, and all of those individuals are leveled up to at least level 15 at the minimum. You can get by with slightly lower level characters. However, it could prove to be more challenging. I've experimented with different cards that should be used, or skills that should be used on these heroes, these Hive busters, but I will go into that here in a moment. But I want to specifically state that the 3 Hive busters that launch with the game, Keegan, Lonnie, and Mac, are critical to the success of this particular challenge. I'm not saying that those that have the Ultimate Edition with with Emil or Kat, or those that unlock Sarah Connor by playing early, couldn't be able to do this, but I do feel like the 3 original Hive busters are super powerful when utilized properly. So with that, I want to make sure there's a few things discussed up on the front end about this particular mode. Is that being able to use your melee and execute enemies with using your melee combinations is critical. You've already seen some of that as we've progressed through these first 50 or so seconds into this video about us using executions while using melee. It's super critical. It saves and conserves on ammo, and it just allows you to get that instant kill instead of shooting, and then potentially the enemies rejuvenating health over time. So with that, there's, like I mentioned, certain cards that you should be using that I feel are, at least at this moment, the most effective cards to use on these 3 Hive busters. So I'm going to start with Keegan, as that's who I'm playing with, and as right now, you're going to notice that I'm using a boom shot, or I picked up the boom shot recently, and I also have a hammer burst. And the reason for this is because of the cards that I'm using, and you're going to understand why I'm using one of those cards here very soon. And that first card is called Shredder. And so what the Shredder card does, it allows for explosive hits to cause bleeding over time. So what this means is that anytime you use an explosive like a torque bow, boom shot, drop shot, or frags, or anything that explodes on impact, and it hits the enemy, will allow them to start bleeding. And you'll see a little bleed icon here in a little bit. If you haven't already seen it from Mac using one of his skills, is you'll see a little bleeding icon above their health bar. And these health bars are super important, and they're not annoying because it's really critical to know what you're doing at all times in a mode like this. So you're going to see that blood icon, or the little blood icon drip when enemies die. That means they bled out by your skills that you have attached to your character. So Shredder is the number 1 card for me at this moment with Keegan. If you're not using Shredder, you're leaving a lot of damage on the table, and I have noticed that offense is much more important than defense in some situations in Escape. So Shredder is the first card. The second card that is super nice and works in tandem with another card is Recharge Bounty. Now, what this does is it allows players that kill an enemy who is marked. So you'll see me as Keegan trying to mark as many enemies as I can. I do a very bad job of doing this as we get progressing, but it is super critical to do that, to make sure that you are allowing the players like yourself, Lonnie, or Mac to recharge their ultimate cooldown faster. So what this means is, if I mark an enemy and Mac or Lonnie kills that enemy, or I kill that enemy, my cooldown on my ultimate there at the bottom middle will recharge faster, or for them, or for Lonnie, whoever it may be that gets that kill, that will speed up. And it's super important because those ultimate abilities do a lot of good for you. The next card that I use is Resupply Duration, and this is more for Mac than for myself. However, it is nice to have it. And so what this does, it allows the ultimate ability that Keegan uses, which is a ammo resupply, to be deployed longer on the ground. Now here, you'll notice that things are starting to get a little hazy. I'm going to kind of cut off from the cards for a moment, and I'll come right back to this, is that things are getting a little hairy, but we're not in a panic yet. I'm about to use my grenade, which is now causing a bunch of bleed over time, and we're talking over 1,000 damage per second on these enemies. And I use a boom shot to finish this up because we're starting to get pushed by the deep, dark green venom, and so that is the venom that will kill you. Right now we're in what I guess you could call the gas of the venom. That will not kill you, but certain characters have the ability to do additional damage, and there's newer cards that have been released that I haven't used in this video because this was recorded before the title update, that may be beneficial today. However, when I recorded this video, it was not released. So just keep things like that in mind, that you will be playing in the Venom a lot in Masters from what I've gathered, but that don't worry, just be patient, don't panic. The other card that I used on Keegan was Modified Hammer Burst, and this just allows additional damage for Keegan. However, this could be swapped with other cards, maybe the increased pistol damage. I'm not exactly sure what would be a great replacement for that just yet. The other card that is borderline not exactly required, but I like it at this moment, is Eagle Eyes, which allows Keegan to mark additional enemies, which works in tandem with that recharge bounty. So you can highlight and mark as many characters as you possibly can, and as long as you guys kill them, you'll get that reduction on your cooldowns, which, once again, having those ultimate abilities as soon as possible allows you to beat this thing even quicker. The other cards that are critical for Mac will be Adrenaline Junkie, and this is what I was talking about just a few moments ago, is that you're going to be playing in the Venom or the Gas a lot. Now the wording of this says Venom, but it applies to both Gas and Venom, is that those enemies will take additional damage in the Venom. So it doesn't matter what weapon you're using, but those enemies will take that additional damage, which, like I said, damage is a little bit more important than defensibility so far, at least in this particular escape run. Dodge, the ability to be resistant to marksman weapons. This is nice because there are times where you will be hit with a M-bar or a sniper or a Marksa, and that stuff hurts. It's almost an instant down with some of those weapons. Being able to be a little bit more resistant and maybe stay alive and take that damage could be a life-turning situation in this particular escape setup. Crazy Tough, this allows Mac to survive just a little bit longer with increased health. I'm not sure if this is exactly required, but it is nice to have that additional health, but I'm not going to say it's the end-all be-all of cards for Mac. The last two cards that Mac should be using are Bloodshot. This is the primary card that makes Mac great. If you're not running this card, you may as well not be playing Mac, and I would hope that you can max it out as soon as possible through your progression or by using your scrap to purchase the upgrades. And so what this does, it allows Mac to have a damage over time similar to Keegan's Shredder card. However, it is specifically not just for explosives, but it's only actually for Bull Talk, and it needs to be an active Bull Talk to the head to make and capitalize on that damage. So make sure you're using an active reloaded Bull Talk straight to the head of any opponent, and you'll see a bleed icon show up above them, and it could actually truly make this whole progression of moving through these levels even quicker, having that additional bleed and plenty of ammo to go along with it, which is why it's necessary to have a Keegan to be using his resupply a few times throughout the whole match, because ammo can be fairly limited. The other card that you should be using is Bull Talk Bandolier, which allows Mac to carry more ammo in his Bull Talk. You start off with more, and you can carry more as time progresses. It's a no-brainer. Now up here, I want to make a note that you may have saw me move up into the next room and start shooting randomly and then run back. The reason I did this is because I know that we're going to start getting stuck with the venom coming our way, venom, and not just the venom but the green gas, I needed to make sure that we triggered the next set of enemies to get them to start progressing upwards, and you're going to see why here in just a few moments. We are struggling here. And the reason for the struggle is because of the fact that we have a flock and not the warden, and the flock is not exactly the nicest to move around or to lock into these rooms. So if you didn't know about that, that is a nice little trick. It's not a glitch, it's a good trick. It's a strategy play to lock enemies in rooms, and that's what we went ahead and done it here in this particular run, is lock the flock in a particular supply room. Now for Lonnie, you notice I haven't talked about Lonnie much, and the reason for it is that Lonnie's big time is coming up here in a moment. So let me talk about those cards real quick. Lonnie has an ultimate that is called Electro Blade, and it's where Lonnie just goes wild with an electric knife. And so the 5 cards that you're going to want to use on Lonnie is Shock Shield, which allows Lonnie to get stem. Think of an overshield of some kind from Halo, where you get additional health or additional health to your full health. Now this only is active when you're using Electro Blade. The other one is On the Flank, which allows Lonnie to do more additional damage from behind. It may not seem like it's beneficial because you're behind enemies, but being able to do that additional damage behind them is super critical because it works in tandem with not only Electro Blade, but it's also going to work in tandem with the Brawler card, which is a green common card. You get it right out of the gate. Highly recommend. This allows Lonnie to do additional damage with her melee. The other cards you should be using is Mid-Range Deflection. This allows Lonnie to take additional damage from weapons that are mid-range, probably like a Lancer, Marksa, Hammer Burst, things of those type of weapons. That is what you're going to be deflected with. And the last card is Shock Chain, which works in tandem with the Electro Blade and the Shock Shield and Brawler, and from the On the Flank card, which stuns enemies that are nearby Lonnie, who, you know, are so close in proximity that need to be killed shortly after you kill whoever you're focusing on. So here you saw that we had a lot of near-death experiences. We almost lost it here at the end. Lonnie uses her ultimate to really clear out this whole last wave of enemies that start flooding through. The biggest pieces to this whole run is making sure that you're locking the boss, which is either the warden or the flock in the room, pushing up into the next room, shooting at the area where the Raven will come and pick you up for extraction, and triggering those enemies forward, and making sure that you're using at least those cards and sticking together at all times possible. As time progresses, I'm sure the meta will change, like I mentioned earlier in this video, but hopefully this can at least get you through masters on the map, the Hive. If you guys enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click the bell icon, click the subscribe button, and I will make sure that there's more of these coming. They are a little bit slow right now because I'm still learning about the game, how the physics and mechanics work with these certain Horde or escape characters, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you enjoy it, be sure to click that like and subscribe button. Until next time, thanks for watching.